Hey guys, it's OKB and this is a guide to treasure tools. Now there's going to be a basic version and then there's going to be an advanced version. If you already know sort of what a treasure tool is, you guys can go ahead and skip over to the advanced version for advanced tactics using treasure tools. Why you don't just use 4 ropes if you want to do that. In general, you probably should just use 4 ropes, S rank, and that's it. That makes things a lot more simple, but there are some advantages to switching from a rope to a blade to a fan to a gourd. Now I pick one of each because back then I didn't know what was good, so I just picked one of each, and eventually one of them will be good, right? So yeah, but yeah, the best setup is for S rank golden ropes. Okay, now this is the basic version, and this is assuming you haven't played this game before or you just know nearly nothing. All right, so the treasure tool is, don't confuse this with the ninja tools that you guys see in your character, right? This is the ninja tools. Ninja tools hold a lot of different things, purifications, refines, stones, and all that stuff. But treasure tools are another thing, and in the anime, the treasure tool is actually one of those 6 sage paths. One of his tools. Those are tools that the 6 paths of sage, what do you call them? But those are tools that he used for something. I forgot what it was. Basically, those are six paths tools, and those enhance your abilities. Tenten actually managed to get the fan. I think she used it pretty well because she was like an all ninja tool user, and she was able to attack a whole bunch of people using a lot of wind, but it takes a lot of chakra. Anyways, there's 4 different types of tools. This one's sealing the 2 brothers that ate Ninetales meat. Golden rope, I forgot where it was. She could. This was also used by the Golden Brothers, the brothers that killed the Tobirama or something, and that was used to, let's see, it was like you said it. You're supposed to get the gourd to get to your opponent's word or something, the word they use the most, and then it's recorded on the Shikis Saiken or something. Anyways, that's the lore behind this, and that's why they're given so much power in this game. It's pretty helpful. Now, each of these have different stats, so that's there's different variations of this. So equip is pretty self-explanatory. You just equip the weapon. All right. S is the best rank, and then it's A, and then there's the common one. Obviously S is the best. You want to try to go for that, but it's going to take you a while to get it. So getting some purple ones up is fine because you can recycle it later. You guys can see recycle on the right over here. Now these ropes, in general, the best setup is just keep on getting ropes. Right? Ropes are kind of the best because of their stats. The difference between a rope and anything else is that it has no useless stat. And when I say there's no useless stat, but there's every single stat that's on this rope is somewhat useful. Life is good, right? If it's life given to your ninja, he'll survive longer, right? Even if it's position 1, 2, 3, or 4. Having more life means he's going to survive longer and he can activate his abilities longer. Resistance is nice because most attacks are ninjutsu or ninjutsu and taijutsu put together. It's better than defense. Initiative is great because you got to go first, and if you go first, you can have a higher chance of controlling your opponent. Life again on the attribute section, right? That's pretty nice. And the critical and injury is actually more important than most other stats, including attack, defense, resistance, ninjutsu. Simply because critical hit gives you a higher chance of hitting someone with a critical hit, and defends against your opponent's chance of getting a critical hit. So it's both offense and defense. Injury is the same thing, except it affects how much damage a critical hit does. So if you have high injury, you can deal more damage when you get a critical hit, and if you have high injury, you get less damage taken when someone does a critical hit on you. So all of that put together makes the rope the best. Now, if I can take a look at the other blades and stuff. Attack and defense. Defense is not as good as resistance, so that's already not as good as a rope, but only by a little bit, right? Because more attacks are ninjutsu than taijutsu in this game. At least more attacks that are worth using. Now it has initiative, which is every tool has initiative. Then there's attack, and keep in mind more strong ninjas use ninjutsu than attack. So attack, while useful it is still useful, is not as good. It's used less in ninjas, but it can still be helpful. And then there's a combo rate, and that's the one thing that stands out that kind of sucks, because most ninjas, combo rate doesn't help very much. It doesn't really change the battle in a meaningful way. There sometimes it does. Like there's occasionally things that combo rate will help with, but it's very occasional, and so it's not going to help in every battle, and that's why people don't like it as much. Injury is similar to the rope, and injury just defends against any critical hits if you're not putting this on the ninja that you're stacking all your power on. So injury is the same with the rope. All right. So there's just a couple things that we don't like on here compared to the rope. The fan, same thing. It has a combo rate, just like the blade that we don't like on the bottom right. Critical hit instead of injury. So just like it has critical hit like the rope does, but it doesn't have injury. Both are pretty important. Ninjutsu is good. Alright, so ninjutsu is generally pretty good of a stat to increase. Healers will be getting it. If you're having a position 1, that position 1, chances are they're using ninjutsu in their mystery attack. Most ninjas do. Initiative is always there, so that's kind of nice. And then on the top, you'll see ninjutsu and resistance, which is pretty good. So in terms, if you're not using a rope and you have a fan instead, that's like the second best in terms of a position 1 attack. And yeah, resistance is the same as the rope. So there's just like 1 or 2 things here that the rope does better than the fan does. Just the combo rate, and it's pretty much just the combo rate really that we don't like too much. The rope is still better in that regard. Okay, and then we have the gourd, which is the last one, which is defensive, except defensive isn't as good. All right, on the top you'll see the, life. All right, life is good, just like the rope, but it has defense, which is slightly worse than resistance, which both the rope and fan has. And then on the attributes, they all have initiative, right? But then it gets more defense, and we want more resistance. Now we do have resistance on the bottom, and then control on the bottom right. And so that makes the gourd actually unique compared to the other 3 treasure tools, and that's because the defense is, well, okay. Aside from defense, this is the only treasure tool with control, and that can be important sometimes. Control is basically the chance of you dealing a status effect to somebody else, and the chance of them dealing a status effect to you. So aside from something like ignition, because ignition is 100%, but if you deal something like chaos or immobilize, and you try to hit someone else's position 1 who's like really stacked in power, and that position 1 has a lot of control, chances are your chaos is going to fail. Your immobilize is going to fail. But if you have a lot of control, then they'll try to control you by chaosing or acupuncture or immobilize, and they might fail to do that on your ninja. So that's a pretty important thing. Now keep in mind this is outside of arena. In arena, this is also, well, actually this actually also works in arena, but only if you really stack this tool with a lot of control. Then actually this could probably be the most powerful tool in arena, if that's what you mostly do. And I actually do more arena than I do anything else. So if I had a tool that maxed this out, I actually wouldn't mind at all. It's just a lot of defense and resistance, just making sure your character survives long enough. It's actually pretty good for a position 2, and the reason is because a lot of position 2s are control units. For when you're first starting out, like Summer Kurenai, which can immobilize somebody and suppress their immunity to status, that's very powerful. Same thing with something like Nier Hashirama, Edo Tensei Itachi. Could be another, I don't know, someone who has a chase that causes mobilize, like Ranger Madara, right? All these different ninjas that has a chase or just has an effect that can immobilize somebody. If you have high control, you have a chance of controlling someone else's position 1, even if they stack all their power. And that's because if you go to the ranking system, you guys will see that people don't actually focus on control very much compared to all the other stats. So let's take a look at their stats on our number 1, like 3 million power guy right now. Right, he has control at 74,000 something. And in his position 2, he has to control at 66,000. Now, there's actually a big difference, but the difference is under 10,000. And so, if he was fighting someone of his own power with the exact same stats, his position 2 actually has a good chance to control his position 1. Of course, there's a chance to fail, but because his control is so much lower than everything else that he has, his position 2 can actually take over, and you can take advantage of that actually. If you're fighting someone similar to your power and they don't have a lot of control, you can actually buff up your control on your position 2 up to a point where there's a chance of failing, but there's a good chance that he won't fail. And you could probably run some random tactics like, or I'll make this as simple as possible. Summer Kurenai is probably the best example I have that people can understand easily. Let's take a look at her mystery. Summer Kurenai on the mystery, right? The selected target will receive suppression to immunity to debuffs and immobilize. So you 6-pass Naruto. As long as that doesn't dodge, you might be able to immobilize them and suppress the immunity to status, which means you're stopping that 6-pass Naruto from attacking and resetting his mystery and dealing any sort of damage and his scaling. That's a big deal, right? But this does depend on your opponent. So if you're able to really stack this gourd up on your position 2, and you can't just do treasure tools, you have to do it on literally every single other power up. So if you go to strengthen, like for example refines, you'll have to refine your position 2 a little bit, because they give stats on everything, right? You'll also have to do purification. So in purifications, you're going to want a golden purification to amplify the effects of your refines. On your rune stones, you're going to want to make sure your control, where's the control? Oh, it's the scroll. You're going to want to make sure your control is higher than the other one. So right now I'm at level 10 everything, but maybe I'll just take some control runes from here and stack level 12 control runes here. Or maybe I can just take the best control runes and put it on my position 2, because most people don't think about controlling your position 1 anymore because of control fail. That's a common thing that happens. So yeah, you can put all your best controls on your position 2, and your position 1 will have less control, but then position 1 versus position 1 usually has no control problems, so that's actually fine. And you guys can try to control using... If this was Summer Kurenai, you might be able to control someone else's position 1 and actually win the entire battle because you were able to control their unit for 2 rounds or 1 round or something. Charms as well, it's all that kind of stuff. You have to build towards this. You can't just do a treasure tool. Okay, so that's control. Let's see, resistance, defense. Okay, I think I kind of went over everything. So yeah, defense, resistance, there's a lot of stats, but I'm telling you that in general, defense is better with injury and critical rate, simply because in terms of high level damage, critical hits are a big deal. They're a huge deal in damage dealing, because they can deal up to 2 times more damage, actually even more than that, if you increase your injury. So yeah, being able to deal 2 times damage versus having a little bit of defense reducing someone else's damage, people lean towards injury a lot more. Okay. These are the basics of what these tools are. So how do you upgrade these tools? You guys can see these level sections. Equip, I already went over, right? Forging, this is where you make your tools and you get 1 free every 24 hours or so. I can click on this and I make a tool. And then you'll see that it's B rank right now. I can recycle that. You guys can see there's a cooldown of 23 hours to get another tool, right? You'll also see on the left, it'll show... Oh, actually, I just drew, so it won't show, but every 24 hours, you'll have like a treasure tool forge thing, a notification here, letting you know you can do it again. So yeah, go to treasure tools, you go to forging, and then make sure to go for the rope first. 4 ropes is good at first. Now, leveling up requires... So I'm already max level for some of these guys, but they're going to increase the level in the future, for sure. I'm absolutely sure that they're going to increase the level. You guys see that there's like several types of ores. You use some coins, you use some ores, and you can level it up and increase your stats. Now, it's helpful. It's not the biggest buffer, but it's pretty important. I'll say it makes up like 10%, maybe 20% of the power that you get from these tools. Probably 10%, to be honest. And you get these from the mine. So you guys will see on the left, there's also a notification for mines. New ores available to mine. Now you guys can go over here. It takes you to your home, which will actually be on the bottom right if you want to go there manually. You guys will see mine, collect ores. And then there's a quick way to just get there while you're running. Click on one of the guys, one of the ninjas on the left, and it's going to teleport you there automatically. You guys see there's a collect option, and I can collect my ores, right? Whole bunch of different types of ores, and then you're going to mine again, and you set a team to protect your mine. And the reason you do that is because you yourself can actually go and steal people's stuff. So I can click on steal on the bottom right here, and then make your team or something. It doesn't really matter. And then you'll run around and be like, oh, hey, I can steal from these areas. You can probably judge how strong a person is based on what their team are in the mines, but it's not 100%. You can have like a couple free chances of getting... there's a couple free chances of stealing every single day, right? And I can also kind of see, let's see, they only have 20,000 life, I have 50,000, so I'm definitely 100% better. The simple thing is you can actually skip this battle, so I'm just going to skip this battle. You can thank the mine owner, which you should do, and that increases your luck by a little bit. And then you have like a chance to get this treasure essence and some ores, and the ores are used to level up your... yeah, I got some ores to level up my treasure tools, right? And then you can do it one more time for free, I think. Okay. So back to this tool. Remember, power up tool. Now forging, I went over that. Level up, I already went over that. You guys can see I have extra S tools. I can change my tools if I want. I can recycle them and then get my tools. But you need to use your ores because there's a max limit on your ores. For iron ores, you have a max limit of 10,000, but you need way more than 10,000 to get to max level here. So if you're planning on switching from, let's say, a blade to a fan, you're going to want to level your stuff up, get some more ores, level it up to at least like level 70 or something, and then you can recycle your fan here and recycle, right? You can recycle that, get all your ores back, get all the stuff that's on the fan back. The fan will, the blade will be destroyed, but then you'll be able to use that stuff on the fan. So that's the system there. But it takes a while to get your NS, so you don't want to do this often, right? Okay, so that's leveling things up. Now this is the strongest. This is where you get most of your power. This is, I'm just gonna call this the attribute circles. And each tool has a different attribute circle, and they increase the amount of initiative and one other stat each time you upgrade it. Now, in order for you to upgrade it, you need to get these essences. So blue ones are the common ones, purple ones are pretty nice rares, and then the yellow ones are ultimate treasure essences, which are worth like 1200 XP, which is worth more than 10 times, like 15 times more than a purple essence, I think, something like that. You guys can see that as you level up, you're going to get more of that one stat. So, and each of these circles have a name on them, which represents initiative and one of their stat. So the blade will have creation, dimension, and energy. The fan will have creation also, but then and then it also has awareness and harmony. The gourd has all these other names, and some of them overlap, some of them don't. But yeah, this is where you upgrade that. Remember how the rope has all these stats like life, resistance, initiative, life? Initiative goes up with every attribute here, but life has its own circle. I think this is the life circle. Injury has its own circle. This is the injury circle, and critical hit has its own circle. So that's the critical circle. All right, and this is the lineup, which I'll get to in a second. But you guys can see that these essences, you get them from events. So let me see if I can find an event that has an essence on it this week. Probably not, but oh, there is. Okay, Infinite Tsukiyomi. You guys can see the ultimate treasure essences. They're going to be in these hot topic events that change every once in a while. And also, I think you're able to get, if you go to Beset, yeah, you guys can see here there's an obtain scroll, right? You click on that, and you guys can, every 23 hours or so, okay, I get a free draw right now, and I can get either ores or, oh, I could get coins too. That's kind of bad. I can get ores or, let's go return. or ultimate treasure essences, rare or common essences, right? This is something you get every 23 hours or so. It's also going to be on the left here in notifications when you see it. And each time you draw on here, you get a point, or whatever you call it, skill scroll point. And once you draw enough times, you can actually redeem them for either a scroll or an essence. An essence will increase the attribute. So like it'll increase injury or critical rate or ninjutsu, depending on what you pick, so on and so forth. Or you can actually get these scrolls, which I will mention in 1 second. Okay, so yeah, each one is good. I recommend that you level up mostly one tool, and that tool should probably be this Superior Golden Robe. It's probably the best tool to have around here. Just level it up mostly, and then you guys can put like a couple purples in each of these to increase the stats. But in terms of stacking, it's very important to put it on these on one tool on your best ninja, because that ninja, well, he's going to need that initiative if he wants to be faster than most people. And being faster than someone is very important in battle, as long as you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, then it's not always good. But yeah, initiative is very important. All right, and also it's important to make sure your critical rate and injury is high on your position 1, so they can deal more damage, kill your opponent faster, and protect against your opponents for position 1 as well. They're stacked, the strongest ninja. Okay, now we can get a scrolls. So you guys can see each of these guys' tools has a scroll on it, and most of them are red. So here's a list of the scrolls that I have at the moment, and I got these just from obtaining scrolls every single day, just these free draws. And you know, these scrolls that it's kind of hard to get these scrolls. They just kind of randomly appear in some events, and eventually I get them. I don't even remember from where. These are very rare to get, but they're also not that great. They're pretty good. If you're able to, I would suggest drawing 10 at once, because they give you a guaranteed chance of a purple ability scroll or a treasure essence, or a good treasure essence, if you draw 10 at a time. So that's my recommendation. But these scrolls basically give effects. You guys can see that on that shield over there, this is lined up resistance up level 1. And there's a number 4 on that picture right there with that shield. So that basically means after 4 rounds, I'm going to get resistance, and it says 38%. So after 4 rounds, I get resistance of 48%. Now, you can equip it on a tool here, and then in battle, you'll see it like around here. You'll see like numbers and the symbols of attack or resistance or defense or something. You guys can click on that, and that's the effect you'll get after a number of rounds. And number of rounds depends on the number on here. So yeah, after 4 rounds. This one will be after 5 rounds, I'll get some healing. This one will be after 2 rounds, I get defense, and it's self-explanatory. Red is the best, but you guys can also put in some yellows. The yellows are pretty decent too. And then it's purples, and then there's blues. You can upgrade these guys, so if I upgrade them, there's an auto add, which is pretty useful. But yeah, these gain experiences when you sacrifice some scrolls. Start with the commons, of course. And you guys can see that after you level up from level 1 to level 2, it goes from getting 38% resistance after 4 rounds to 42% after 4 rounds. That's kind of nice. I don't really do this because I kind of forget about it. Like, it takes such a long time to really build it up. I mean, I did it for this one once, and that's about it. Level 2 lineup scroll. It was probably like 6% earlier for 2 rounds. Yeah, okay, so that's the scrolls, right? They're helpful. They are actually pretty useful, but after you get it to like, I would probably recommend you do a 2 or 3 round wait. The 4 rounds or 5 rounds is only in like a long battle, when you actually usually have a long battle, but it's usually too late if it's 4 or 5 rounds, unless you know what you're doing. Yeah, but I would probably go for the 2 or 3 rounds, and yellow at least, in terms of rarity. So, you know, defense, resistance, I have 2 defenses, oops. Lineup, damage, and resistance. Damage and resistance is probably the best. Healing aside, probably. Healing could help, I guess, in a specific situation. Sometimes healing is better than everything. Okay, that is the attributes on here, and recycling is pretty simple. You just click on something, recycle, and you get some ores. You can also recycle S-grade tools, and you guys can get back all your ores, though keep in mind there's a maximum limit, so you won't get 20,000. Your maximum is 10,000 in here. Remember, the maximum storage is 10,000 across all ores, so you won't get all your iron orbs back. That's something you really need to know. But you do get your essences back, which means you can then spend it on these attributes on your new tool that you want once you sacrifice your S-grade tool, right? But yeah, in general, the other purple and blues, once you have S-grade tools, all 4, you can just sacrifice those, recycle them, and get some ores back. Okay, that's pretty much the basics of treasure tools. I'm going to go over advanced tactics in a moment. I'm going to cut, and I'm going to prepare some stuff. See you in a bit. Hey guys, it's OKB. This is the advanced version. I'm going to repeat some of the information from the basic version, but I'm going to expand on it. So, yeah, this is, so you guys might have seen some of this already. So I'm going to quickly go over this. I mean, most of you, if you're watching the advanced version, you should know how these treasure tools work, how you upgrade them, and what you should do to upgrade, with the ores and all the scrolls and stuff like that. So I'm going to skip over that, and I'm just going to say this. We're going to focus on how or why you would use anything except a rope, because most people kind of know that 4 S rank golden ropes is the best setup, and it is the best setup. But there are situations where you don't use 4 golden ropes at all times, and one of the most common situations is going to be arena, all right? Because in arena, the critical hit and injury and all that stuff is pretty good, but the effects of the chances of you getting hit by a critical hit and the amount of damage that people can do to you with their injury is not expanded as much in arena. It's helpful, it's very nice, but it's not like absolute in arena. On the other hand, if you do something like this, like the position 2, 3, or 4, their attacks will actually matter in terms of dealing damage in arena. So in arena, just know that having 4 of any kind is actually probably the best setup in arena, just overall, because you don't know what team you're using. Because if you have like missions or something in arena, like arena missions, or you have a special mode and you want to do something different, yeah, having a variety of things that you can choose from is good. Now, having the rope as your position 1 is generally the best, but sometimes it's better to have a fan actually, and then a blade. Okay, so let's go over each of these. You guys know what the rope is good for. It's the attributes. It's the specialty on top, life and resistance. It's great for defense, and resistance is better than defense. Life is great, just survivability. Then we have attributes. Initiative is for every tool. So now we have life, injury, and critical hit. Life is great, more survivability. But critical hit and injury is both offense and defense, which is why they're pretty much being used. Critical hit lowers the chance that you're going to be hit by a critical hit, and increases the chance you do hit a critical hit. Injury lowers the amount of damage you get taken by critical hits, and you deal more damage when you do a critical hit. And so that's offense, defense. On the other blades and the blades, basically you don't like the blade and the fan because the combo rate doesn't matter too much most of the time. And control is decent, but then at some point people feel like they increase control people don't focus on control, I guess, just because of, the current metas, or like from the previous to the current meta, a lot of it does not rely on control, or at least not on status effects. There are controls that are not status effects. However, this is overlooked, and I sincerely think that people overlook the gourd in terms of their strategies. All right, there's some things you can do with this. So I don't need to go over the ropes. Let's talk about. I'll go with the let's go with the gourd first, and then we can combine these two and kind of discuss what those are. So the gourd is the only treasure tool that has control. It has defense and resistance, life, which is all pretty good. Now it has more defense and resistance, which I don't like, but in today's meta, they're using combined attacks of taijutsu and ninjutsu, so it doesn't matter as much if you're using defense or resistance. Most attacks with most top attacks are using pure not using pure taijutsu or ninjutsu. Now we have to talk about the control, and the control is useful. So I also talked about this in the basics, but I'm gonna make I already made a team that I'll show you guys as an example. But first, let's take a look at the top 3 guys here on our server, which is like 3 million, 2.9 million, 2.5 million. And you guys can see in the details, initiative, critical hit, all the way down to control. Control has way less stats than the other 4. Just way less. This is his position 1, right? But it's not just position 1. Like every single ninja that we see has control as the lowest stat, and that's because people don't generally focus on it. I talk to people and they know it's important, but status effects kind of went away because everyone's immune to status, and there's like a level 2 immunity to status, and then you can remove status effects, and at some point status effects is just unreliable, and so people start going against it. But you can use that as a weapon in your control game. So let's see, his position 1 is 74,000 control-ish, and his position 2 is 66,000, and so because his position 2 has less than 10,000 control difference from his position 1. So 74,000 minus 66,000 is something like 8,000. That means his position 2, if he was to control his position 1, there's actually a fair chance he could actually do it without a control fail. The number one reason people really don't use control as much anymore is because control fail. Just control fail all the time. They think it's unreliable, but because it's unreliable, people don't pay as much attention to it, and then it becomes more reliable. So that's something you want to think about when you're doing space time. So this is rank 1. Let's go over to rank 2 and take a look. This is very similar in terms of control, and I think it's even closer. So this is position 1, 72,000, 73,000 control averaged up. If we take a look at this is 68,000 control versus 73,000 control. So his position 2 can, there's a very good chance his position 2 can control his position 1 if he was fighting himself, with the same power, right? So you guys can see here that control is not really being buffed up, and because of that, even if you really stack somebody, if you're able to stack your position 1 and then somewhat stack your position 2 and put a gourd on him, let's pretend this guy doesn't have a gourd. There's no way to tell because they don't really, if I click on more info, I don't think they really tell you what, they tell you the battle armor, the summon, but they don't tell you the treasure tool that they're using. So I'm just going to assume they're using all ropes because that's the most popular type. But if they were not using, if they were using ropes and they switched over to control with the gourd, and then you have some essences on there, maybe like a 3,000 addition, this control would be 70,000, and it would have almost probably 80% chance or 90% chance to control your opponent's position 1. And you could do something really basic here. Summer Kurenai, immobilize with the mystery for 2 rounds. Boom. And your opponent doesn't expect it. They might have healers, I guess, but your opponent might not expect it and might not put enough healers or any debuff removers or anything. And you guys can control with your position 1 and then throw in Summer Kurenai and control someone else's position 2, right? Also to mention is in control, let's see, let's take a look here. Position 3 and 4 versus position 2, right? 3 and 4 is 54,000 for this one, 53,000 for this one. His position 2 is 66,000, so it's over 10,000. The difference is over 10,000. It's like 12,000, and so there's a good chance that if someone of his same power were to fight him, his position 3 and 4 won't be able to control his position 2. And that might be part of your strategy too, because let's say Referral Tsunade has, Referral Tsunade has this chase, and she's a healer, but she also has this chase that let's go over here. She also has this chase that causes low and chaos, which is the same as interrupt. So even if the guy is immune to status, you're able to interrupt the other side, and maybe your position 2 can start the combo. But if you're using a position 2 or some standard attack or something, and Referral Tsunade's position 3 or 4, she might actually have a control fail on you because you're like 10,000, over 10,000 control under the other guy's position 2. And so it becomes more like a position 2 can't control position 1, but position 3 can't control position 2. Except I actually think that position 2s can control position 1s at this moment on the top level. Now, of course, you guys probably are lower power than that, and the difference will be, well, more minuscule. So if we go randomly this or something, I don't know if he's stacked or not. Okay, he doesn't seem stacked. Okay, he is stacked, so he's really stacked. His control's 32,000, and his other positions are 20,000. So he's very stacked, and he has a 10,000 difference. But if you have a gourd and you start to put control in all your other power functions, so you can't just rely on your treasure tool, right? The gourd will give you like 1,000 or 2,000 control. If you put more, if you just do something like you put a lot of essences on your position 1, and you put like a couple essences, you sort of stack position 2, and you ignore the other ones. That's actually an okay strategy that you guys can use. And then you do like 8 inner gates. You're gonna have control. Sorry, control here. Put like a couple hundred, and upgrade this up a lot. That'll be a couple hundred more here, and then you have like strengthen. You have refines. And then refines, you'll increase it on your position 2 a little bit more after you get like level 10, 11, 12, or 13 refines. You can start working on your position 2s. That's probably the best situation. But yeah, you guys can go for control. Let me see if I can find a control gold here. Yeah, control gold here. You guys can increase that. Okay, this is my position 4, and I'm not stacking it. But if you do refine it, if you're able to refine maybe a necklace or something here, then you'll be able to amplify that effect to like a couple hundred control extra, and then you have another 1,000 here. And then you have rune stones, and you can actually switch out your position 1 rune stones control for your position 2. Pretend this is position 2, and you add a whole bunch of extra. So how much? Like this is level 10. 370 control versus 660, so that's 290 control extra. So that's another. Let's just round it up to 300. So that's another 1,500 control. You add up a couple thousand here and here and there, and just keep on going until you're very close to your position 1's control. And at that point, you might be able to control someone with a simple team. With Summer Karanai. Now, a more advanced version, more advanced example that I made this team for is 10 Tails Madara, or if you are less whaley, right, Killer Bee with breakthroughs, because he was out for free. His 3 stars was free, and he had some extra free fragments from Great Plates or something. Anyways, yeah, he was giving out a lot of his fragments are given out for free, so I'm actually pretty close to 4 stars, I think, without paying for anything. So here's the thing, Killer Bee is a great example, I guess. He's actually okay. He's still useful, especially his lowering defensive resistance. That's actually really useful when you're doing some special mode or something like that where you get hit a lot. But yeah, basically, you have Killer Bee and you have Great Ninja Madara. Great Ninja Madara has his Y knockdown skill. If you do his Y knockdown skill, he's able to suppress immunity to status and cause immobilize. Now, people in general don't think that's going to happen because, position 1 is too stacked to be controlled. But if you're able to really stack Great Ninja Madara with, all the power stuff I was talking about earlier, and then you put on the gourd, and then you stack the gourd a little bit, you will have enough control to get pretty close to your position 1, perhaps, and control them. And so, your opponent won't be expecting this when they're fighting you one-on-one. And that actually opens up a lot of things. So, let's say that you're slower. So let's say you're weaker, right? Let's say that your position 1 or the guy you're stacked is slower than your opponent. Well, then you can actually put your stacked as position 2, and then your position 2 will be faster than their position 2. Also, the guy who's not stacked, like Great Ninja Madara, will be placed up here, and he'll also be faster than your opponent's position 2. And so you're sacrificing your position 1 position to be faster in the second and third move. Actually, you're not even sacrificing at all because you're slower than the other guy. So that's like a strategy that's pretty typically used if you go in space-time and people are being serious about it. But what you can do is actually use Killer Bee, and because Great Ninja Madara is ahead of him, he will cause knockdown, and Great Ninja Madara will chase that knockdown and suppress immunity to status and cause immobilize. And because Grenadier Armada also has this effect in the Y skill that the chase doesn't, the chase cannot be dodged, I believe, then you might be able to actually suppress your opponent's position 1, right, from using their standard attacks, like with Naruto, right? So that's like an example I just thought of on the spot. There's probably better examples, but yeah, these are just little things that can go over with control. There's a lot of things you can do with control. Like if I go over here and just go for who causes immobilize, right? Let's see, with their chase, Summer Granai does, right? Six Pass Naruto does as well, but though it's probably not as position 1 or 2. What's another one? Kinkaku breakthroughs, kind of there. The Raikage, kind of. I probably don't have that many. Yeah, Edo Hashirama, kind of. Chiruku was actually pretty good there. Yeah, but just basically, yeah, just being able to control your opponent, I think is starting to be underrated. People are starting to forget that you can control your opponent with status effects. They're just assuming, hey, they're immune to status, can't do it anymore. But that's not true. Okay, so that's the gourd. All right, I just gave you sort of an example that things you guys can do with the gourd. Next, we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna go with the blade, and then we're gonna go with the fan. The fan is. I don't know if I like the fan the most, but yeah, we're gonna go with the blade first. So I'm gonna switch over to my 185 account for this blade action. Let's take a lagging a little bit here. Let's turn off the music too. All right. So there's a very unique team with the blade, and blade gives attack. That's the unique thing about a blade. It gives attack. I don't know if there's any other. I don't know if there's any other team that gives attack other than the blade. The blade is very taijutsu-ish. And so this is a team I think some of you guys will recognize from before, which I used to counter 6-pass Naruto teams, or at least some 6-pass Naruto teams. I had like a 50% chance against other pretty good 6-pass Naruto teams of similar power. So, this was like a on and off sort of a gamble team that sometimes worked, sometimes didn't. But it was better than nothing. Better than, if I don't have 6-pass Naruto, it was better than nothing. So, Ronin Zabuza, well, a lot of people hate it, or they don't hate it, they just think he sucks. I think you're underestimating him a little bit. He's not useful for every occasion, but he can be pretty useful for many occasions. So, let's see. In terms of treasure tools, so what I did here was I put it on Takesogetsu. My stack is on Golden Rope. Now, you can stack the blade, but in most cases, if you're going to switch ninjas around, overall, the rope is going to be more consistent and just more reliable. So, having the rope on here is good, but I put the blade on Takesogetsu, and for good reason. Takesogetsu is actually useful. His attack is actually useful in this team. He's not stacked, but in this team you have a double single attack that reduces a lot of defense. So basically what this team does is Kisame, I use a +2, not the Y mystery, and I summon a whole bunch of sharks, and 6-pass Naruto comes in and attacks the sharks, and that heals Kisame if he's getting hit. The root will give everybody 100% resistance, so that'll give a lot of defense against 6-pass Naruto. And now if 6-pass Naruto tries to attack Ronin Zabuza in round 2, Ronin Zabuza has a chance to dodge that, thanks to Takesogetsu, hit and miss thing. But also, the Lightning Main has a summon mystery that can remove 1 debuff and use only 20 chakra, and that's pretty good because that means you can then reuse your Ronin Zabuza's mystery attack, which is only 20 chakra, and his mystery attack basically steals all the standard attacks from 6-pass Naruto and then gives it to himself. And also, you can actually use Takesogetsu before that, and so you'll use 6-pass Naruto will have 1 standard attack, right? Takesogetsu will hit 6-pass Naruto, increase his mystery cooldown by 1, and then increase Naruto's standard attacks to 2. Ronin Zabuza will use his mystery on Naruto, and that turns so Naruto will get 3 standard attacks, but then Ronin Zabuza will steal all those standard attacks, and so this becomes more of a Ronin Zabuza will be attacking everyone else that's not 6-pass Naruto and kill the row. That's the goal of this team. And then Takesogetsu will follow up after, because Ronin Zabuza also has Bloodthirsty, so maybe he'll kill 1 unit and then damage the other. Takasogetsu will take over and deal more damage with the standard attack because they all hit the guy with the lowest health. And then by round 3, the Naruto won't have his mystery because he used Takasogetsu, and he wasn't able to use the standard attacks to reset his mystery. And then you could just keep on going on. Renrin Zabuza will try to kill the rest of the team, and then you'll start hitting 6-pass Naruto. And then by then, the mystery should recharge on Lightning Main. It's basically a battle between damage, and so because you need damage, you really need damage here, because you need to finish off 6-pass Naruto by the time he recharges his mystery or his you just need to be able to deal a lot of damage to the rest of the team, and so Takasogetsu, his attack does matter. Here's the thing: he reduces his defense, the target's defense by 10%. So if Renrin Zabuza and him are hitting the same target, Renrin Zabuza will be hitting multiple times, reducing defense by 10%. Takasogetsu will as well, and he'll be hitting multiple times. He also has a chase, which is pure taijutsu. And so even if you're not stacked, if you can reduce somebody's like taijutsu by like 50% in a single round and then hit him again, even someone who's not stacked will deal a whole bunch of damage. And so that's why I actually put the blade here, right? Now, if I had all ropes, that would have worked too, but you're not going to deal any critical hits with your position 2, right? It's just not going to happen. Also, in terms of damage, I'm sure the injury on the blade here is perfect for defending against the damage dealt by critical hits. Critical hits at some point, sometimes it's actually useless. Well, I won't say useless, but it's not very useful. And that situation is when your opponent is really being stacked, stacking up their position 1s, and they have such a high critical hit that your critical hit doesn't really matter. So I'm picking a random person here. I think they stack. Pikachu, I think they stack, right? Let's see, Kimimaro is the one. All right, so critical hit 62,000, and these guys are like 30,000 critical hit. I mean, does increasing your critical hit to 40,000 make a difference? Tiny bit. Like, there's a slight chance you won't get a critical hit, but it's almost 100% chance you're going to be critical hit, right? And so at that point, critical hit doesn't even matter at all. And that's one of the occasions where you would use the blade. And not just the blade, I think. No, just the blade. Because only the blade has injury and attack at the same time. So yeah, taijutsu users, some specialty users, even if you use Renrin Zabuza as like a... because Renrin Zabuza reduces defense by 10% each time, and he hits multiple times, and so his damage will actually be pretty decent, and he's going to be hitting other people's position 2, 3, and 4 first anyways, so that's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a damage dealer, right? Okay, so yeah, that injury over there is going to be pretty useful. The critical hit will not be useful at that stage where your opponent goes critical hit like 20,000 above you. At that point, it just having higher critical hit doesn't really matter too much, and so that injury would work. Now the combo rate over there, while not useful most of the time, it actually is kind of useful because in this team that I made, as an example, right, he has a chase that ignore some defensive resistance and is taijutsu, and so you're already lowering their defense by a lot, and then you're using a chase that does pure taijutsu, and then you're ignoring some of that defense and resistance as well. That's going to deal a fair amount of damage, and in this very tight team, you're trying to kill your opponent's other ninjas before your position 1, and every bit of damage counts, right? So it's just these very unique teams with taijutsu that matters. If you're using something with like taijutsu and ninjutsu, at that point it doesn't matter. What matters are the pure taijutsu users. Though you could use something like Kotetsu in the Infinite Illusion mode here and stack that, I guess, but you probably don't want to do that just for Infinite Illusion. But it will be helpful for anybody like Tobirama. So one of the ninjas that people said did well with, that did better than Raida Jiraiya, maybe? Possibly better than Raida Jiraiya, was Tobirama. And Tobirama with his barrier is nice, but with his breakthroughs, he scales even more. He has a pure taijutsu thing, and he's like a perfect example. If you go Ninetales or something with him, and you do a number of chases, he's like the perfect example of putting a blade on him, because the chance of you doing a critical hit to Ninetales, it's not going to increase that much with a rope. But the attack is going to really help Tobirama with his chase, especially if you want to start using Shiranai in Ninetales mode. Shiranai or something, the guy who increases the number of chases that you get, or Ashura, I think. Okay, so that's the blade. You know, there's Ronin Sasuke was given out this week. It's the end of the week, but yeah, his 50 of his fragments were given out, and then there's some extra fragments from Great Plates. You probably don't have them 3 stars yet, though. They're just giving it to him. I don't know. I just wish they wouldn't give like partial ninjas, unless they have free fragments in other events that add up to 80. But this week's doesn't add up to 80. Okay, so that's the blade. That's the example on the blade. So let's talk about Let's talk about the fan. I don't think there's actually too much to talk about the fan, though. The fan is useful as a position 1. The only thing we dislike is the combo rate. Everything else is good. And that's why the rope is better. But increasing ninjutsu versus increasing life. Yeah, this is good if you're using 6-pass Naruto. I actually wouldn't mind if you use a fan, because you're increasing your ninjutsu, and your ninjutsu scales a lot over a lot of time. So actually this is probably on the same level as rope when you do 6-pass Naruto, but you are missing some injury, so I guess the rope is still slightly better. Combo rate. Okay, this is the last thing we need to talk about, combo rate, because it's people don't know how to use combo rate. They think it's just a random stat that's just there. I know that there's like cases where it does matter, and finding a case that matters, it's hard to do off the spot, but I did manage to find something that I can kind of explain what happens with combo rate. Okay, Edo Madara versus 6-pass Naruto. All right, so combo rate is something that both the blade and the fan has. And here's the thing. There's something I found between Edo Madara and 6-pass Naruto, and it's that 6-pass Naruto tends to have like a slightly upper hand on Edo Madara, simply because Edo Madara's mystery does not go through he's not undodgeable. So 6-pass Naruto has a dodge, Edo Madara does not. Even though Edo Madara is immune to his standard attacks, the mystery still does a lot of damage. Okay, so this is the team I usually use with Earth Main, not Lightning Main, but Edo Madara does really well with Edo Nagato, because he hits through any dodge with Edo Nagato. But once Edo Nagato dies and it's a 1-on-1 versus with a 6-pass Naruto, then it kind of gets a little iffy. And 6-pass Naruto actually gets the upper hand a lot of the times because, well, Edo Madara's mystery misses. Now his standard attack never misses. But here's the thing: there is a particular tactic you can use against 6-pass Naruto. With Edo Madara, but the combo rate is in the way. So Edo Madara automatically hits, he has a high chance of causing knockdown and a 30% damage increase with his standard attack, which is great, right? It hits 6-pass Naruto regardless of any dodges. But then he has a chase that chases that, right? So it goes knockdown low. But he only has a high chance of causing knockdown. And so when 6-pass Naruto is just normally there, you will cause knockdown most of the time, and then the chase will pop the dodge. And once you pop the dodge, you can use Edo Madara's mystery attack, and that mystery will hit 6-pass Naruto, and then there's like a chance that you could use your chase on 6-pass Naruto, and also deal a little bonus poison or something. Now, the problem is that 6-pass Naruto has this ability that increases your combo rate here once you use this mystery. I never thought it would be important, but it actually is. So his mystery says, during explosive mode level 2, which is what he gets into when he uses this mystery, his combo rate increases by 60% and he heals 35% of the damage. Now, when you increase your combo rate by that much, even if you're on Edo Madara with like a high chance of knockdown, your chances of knockdown goes down quite a bit, because 60% is a lot, right? So yeah, combo rate does matter. If Edo Madara was able to slam with his standard attack and then cause his chase will pop the dodge, and then he uses his mystery, then 6-pass Naruto will only have one attack that does any damage, and that would be his mystery attack. The problem is that that doesn't always happen. And so if you do a standard attack and if you do a standard attack, no, if you do a what do you call it? If you use your mystery on Edo Madara, and then it pops the dodge on Six Fast Naruto, and then you do your standard attack, then you're only hitting once per round, and you're getting 30% attack and ninjutsu increase. But so is Six Fast Naruto, because Six Fast Naruto gets 2 attacks that does no damage, but increases his attacks the same. Increases his damage the same level as Edo Madara does, but he has a mystery and a chase that reduces his resistance, which it's more like 4% defensive resistance when you talk about the mystery that does the damage. And so Six Fast Naruto actually doesn't have much of an advantage on Edo Madara. Okay, all right, guys, I got cut off, but that is the end. That's just an example of why combo rate could be very useful in terms of a 1 versus 1 fight when you have a similar power and everything. Okay. So yeah, this combo rate actually separates Edo Madara's powers from Six Fast Naruto. I wish it wasn't the case. I wish if Six Fast Naruto did not have combo rate, Edo Madara would be able to hit Six Fast Naruto 2 times every single round, and he'll heal less. But I think his healing actually goes on to the next round if you use it after his standard attack. I don't know why that's the case, but it is the case. And also, yeah, I mean, if I want to try to make another example, it's going to be kind of difficult. I'll have to find someone with a lot of combo. And of course, I guess there's like this one last example, I guess. We'll do this. Not this. So in terms of, I have to find that team that I made, but in Infinite Illusion, or rather, I can probably just show you with Wind Main. All right, Wind Main here has Shadow Clone Jutsus. I don't have the breakthroughs yet, but even the breakthroughs has a chance of this many to this many clones. If I want to summon more clones than at one time, then I do need a higher combo rate, right? So that's just another thing that you guys can think about. If you guys have like two S ropes, but then you have like purples or something, you can try to get a purple one that has a good combo rate for different situations if you want. But yeah, these Shadow Clone Jutsus, like when I use Shiranai or something, Shiranai, yeah, when I use Gemma Shiranai, his standard attack is to summon a whole bunch of clones, and I hate that because it replaces my clones, and his clones don't do anything. His clones just has a high chance of evading standard attacks, and doesn't attack. And I want Wind Main clones because Wind Main clones actually cause low, and low is useful for what do you call it? Genma. Yeah, Genma chases. No, oh wait, that's his name. What's the other guy's name? Kotetsu, I guess. Yeah, Kotetsu chases low knockdown, and he needs a lot. Like he has literally goes up to 10 low knockdown chases, and you need a lot of clones to. I mean, your Wind Main can have a summon that does it 2 times and goes up to 7. But Kotetsu needs to do it 10 times to maximize his chase and scaling at the same time. And so you need a lot of clones that have a good chance of causing low. And remember that clones don't have a 100% chance of causing low. They just have a chance of causing low. And that depends on your combo rate. All right, so that's another thing where combo rate is pretty useful and necessary. Okay. I think that's enough examples. Hopefully that gets you guys up and thinking. All right, this is more advanced tactics. Understanding what each stat does and why you want to use each stat is really useful. Remember, don't just look at the top powers because when you're really high in power, you kind of get lazy. I've seen a lot of top powers just kind of get lazy because they don't have much competition, and then usually the guy with more power wins. Yeah, you guys can take them for a run, right? Remember, like 70,000s and 66,000 control. You can change some position 2 from 53,000 to maybe like 58,000 control or something. Or actually, if you stack more here, you can even make it to 60-something thousand control. And yeah, I mean, you could probably take on someone else's position 1. Okay, guys. That's enough for this video. Hopefully, if you guys have anything else to add, go and throw it in the comments. I'll try to answer some of them. And that's it. Hope you guys liked it. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.